Hello guys, welcome back on the part two. Thank you for your patience. I just had to log off, log back on, pin the post and get back. So we are going to be talking with next Miss Nancy. Come on in, girl. Let's get into it. Nancy, where you at, sis? What's going on? Thank you, guys. Miss Nancy.
Hi, how are
Hi.
you?
Thank you for your patience.
Yes, ma'am.
Let me tell you, I was planning on half an hour, but it kind of got flowing, and I'm like, Nancy,
Right.
hold me, please. So I'm glad you're still here. Thank you so
No, it's
much.
great.
Welcome
It was
back. And
great.
this is Nancy's second talk, but Nancy's come on like some months ago and shared a different story. So thank you for returning, girl. It's lovely to see you,
Yes,
pretty girl.
ma'am.
What's going on? Can you hear
Oh
me?
no, I'm losing you. I feel a little.
Nancy, the worst thing you could do is
Do
have
I
an ear.
sound echoey? Hold on. Let me take that
You
off.
may
Is
want
this
to,
better?
yeah, you may want to use that. It's always, I find
Yeah.
earpieces
Can
mess
you
up on
can you
live.
hear me though?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah, because it was sounding echoey with this thing on. But
Are you right now? Yeah.
yes. How are you?
I'm good. I'm saying, what's going on, pretty girl? Welcome back.
It's been great. It's been great, great, great. How are
Great.
you?
Okay. So Nancy, let's get into it. Tell us a little bit about the soul of Nancy. Who are you?
Oh, I always like to say honestly in that space that I am always ever evolving. I'm even as a little girl, like I'm in the learning space. I've always was in the learning space. And because I had to learn to be with myself. So I was always very observant, and so I'm still that way now. That's why I feel like in the space that I'm in and my passion is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing as a coach and a speaker. And one of the things that I can say for myself is that because I'm so very observant, I'm very observant of myself too. I think
Mm-hmm.
even more so when I notice things, I tend to notice them, with myself even deeper. So if,
Mm.
the possibility of something with someone else or me seeing something in someone else, is it possible that I could be functioning in that way? And so I'm always like using people as mirrors. And I
That's
love
great.
that. I love that
That's
about myself.
great.
I feel like I'm always the teacher and the student. I don't think there's ever been a time where I was just the teacher or just the
Mm-hmm.
student. So it's
Top
been
aware.
it's been great.
Then. So
It's been
remind
great.
us, for those who's never heard you on this platform before, what part of the world are you? We can hear your American twang. So tell us, what part of the world are you in terms of what state are you in?
I am in South Carolina.
Nice.
Yes, in
You know
South
we're gonna
Carolina.
meet someday, right?
Yes. I'm gonna come to
You
the
and
yes.
Miss Clippers, a whole heap. We're gonna be bugging out, hanging out
Yes.
one day. Amazing.
Yes.
All
Maybe we
right.
can do a chit chat with you in person. That would be
Oh,
so,
girl, it's
so
gonna be
exciting.
off the chisel.
Yes, it will be awesome.
It's gonna be
Absolutely.
amazing. So tell
Yes.
us a little bit about who Nancy was as a child. Let's get into that.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, I'm the youngest of 15.
Oh
I'm the
yeah.
baby.
Ooh.
Yeah, the baby of 15. And because of that, like I said, I was very, very observant. I saw every fight that happened, everything that went down. So, I mean, I had all the answers. Like, I know what happened, pick me. I know what happened. But of course, because I was the baby, it was like, shut up. Nobody wants to hear what you
You
have
were
to
the
say. So,
snitch. You were the
so
snitch, right?
and
Mm-hmm.
when they were asked what happened, well, I knew what happened because I watched everything. I saw
Mm.
you start the fight. I saw you throw the shoe. I saw you. I saw all that because I was the youngest. Of course, it was shut up, sit down. Nobody wants to hear what you have to say. So very, very early on, even though there were so many of us at home, 11 at one time that I can remember,
Mm.
and then it went down to about 9 of us. And we were all really, really close in age, like a year and a few months apart. So we were like stacked. My mom had us, I mean, all the way stacked. And so as a little girl, even though there were so many people in my home, I still had to learn to be with myself because I couldn't
Mm.
find nowhere to fit in. There was these two sisters over here, this brother, and this, you know what I mean? And here I am, wanting to find somewhere to fit in. And
So
so
you were
that's
the
how I was
baby,
kind of,
literally. Mm.
yeah. And so I was launched into, nobody ever wanted me around. So I was kind of launched into my young teen years, looking somewhere to fit. I want to find somewhere I can fit. And so that's kind of even, I mean, a house full of, now there was a lot of love. I mean, but there was so much fighting and so much, we all perceived our upbringing differently. Well, for me as the youngest, they were all made responsible for me all the time. I know that now. I didn't know it then. I just felt like they never want me around. Nobody wants me around, and because of that particular thing, and, I never felt wanted. I had to work to be accepted. They need something from me in order for them to want me around, so even though it was a house full of people, I still feel very lonely, very, very lonely. So I learned to kind of be with myself and be observant of just everything, whether I was asked or not. Because I just kind of sat back and was like, okay, I'm just watching, because they didn't want to hear what I had to say. So I would just sit there and observe everything. And I knew the answer a lot of the times. But, the moment I would say, hey, well, you're asking, I know they didn't want to hear it. You know what I'm saying? So that was like, we did we had a lot of fun, all of that, a lot of love, affection. My dad was definitely a family oriented man. My mother too, was a lot of love, but I still felt very, very lonely as a little girl. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, just as you pause for a mo, guys, those of you that didn't join the part one, you may want to watch part one. Trust me. I slightly go into what inspired me to want to do this talk in the first place, Soul Talk of Silver. And there were two previous guest speakers that shared their journeys, stories, which was both empowering, courageous, and amazing to listen to. And now on the part two, we are talking with Miss Nancy here. Nancy's been on this platform before, some many months ago. So yeah, welcome, guys. So Nancy, let's get into what would you like to share with us today?
Well, I feel like, especially during this whole thing with COVID, since everyone's been on lock, to me, I mean, I'm good with being with myself. Like I said, I have to learn to be there. But what I got a lot of is, because there was distance between people and isolation between people and all that, we were thrown into isolation. You know what I mean? And so one of the things that I wanted to really share was, because I'm hearing it everywhere and I'm experiencing it myself, is learning to really let go. And when we think of that whole term, just letting go as a whole, it could be anything, a job that you were let go and you can't let go, that they let you go. It could be a relationship that you invested, that you invested in, right? That you invested in, gave time, energy, effort, and resources to, and they just walk away. And they don't fight for you. You were sitting there, it could be anything. And so I'm hearing a lot of that. And for myself, I this, two of my sisters passed away inside a year and a few months. And then shortly after, my niece passed away. And so inside that time, not even a year and a half, we've had all these deaths. And of course, it's like, how do you, even the letting go, once they're gone, we don't realize we're still holding the pain, the grieving, the memories. Like, we feel like, that if we move on with our life, that maybe we didn't love, and just guilting ourselves and weighing ourselves down and not releasing, because when we let go, we're basically letting ourselves come out of a prison, out of a cage. And I realized that I've been holding on to some people. I mean, they're not even in my general space, but I still have them here in my energetic field, in my heart space. And and for me, releasing them didn't mean I didn't care, that I didn't believe in them, and that I didn't want them. I mean, this is people dead and alive. I realized that. And I'm like, okay, so how is it? And though I work with people on letting go, the only one that is hurting is ourselves. And when we choose to hold on, it's the holding on so tightly that hurts.
Yeah. I resonate with this topic. I resonate with this topic a lot. And let me just say, just for a moment, because letting go is something that I've always been quite good at. And I say this to people, it's not because I don't feel anything, but I have this literally tunnel vision, and I normally, relationships, 99.9 since my 20s, when we're done, I cut. I don't care if my heart is beating or bleeding for you. Yeah. And I
Wow.
always look at, before you return, remember why you left, sort of thing.
Right.
Friendships, let me show you what I do. Watch my eyes.
You
No,
just
people see
you're
us
just ready.
still. I could be like 30 years later, watch me. It's a wrap. And it's not because
Right.
I don't feel anything, but it's
Right.
because I've got to look at where we're at now. Have we outgrown each other, or are we just hanging on
Yes.
based on history and convenience and those comfort
Mm,
slippers? Yeah.
that
So
is
I
so true.
literally, but I must say, there's always that 1% where you don't. That one person, whether it's a friend, a sister, a brother, or a lover, partner, and you have
Right.
to evaluate why you're holding on. So letting go, this
Right.
topic is amazing for me right now.
Yes, and that's the thing. It's like that's one of the questions. It's like, Nancy, why are you holding on? And
Mm,
and one of the she mentioned to the young lady that was speaking before me, and talking about her giving so much of herself. And
mm,
I think a lot of times it's not wrong to give. I think that we just don't pay attention to the people we're giving to. And
right.
what we have to understand that if the person that I am connected to and I'm in a relation, that's any kind of relationship, if they do not practice reciprocity,
Mm.
because reciprocity is not
And
automatic.
tell us what that is. Elaborate for us.
Like, okay, so we understand the law of sowing and reaping, the law of
Mhm,
giving and receiving. And you
mhm,
find people that say that the law of reciprocity is, it's giving, you're going to give, and they're going to reciprocate it back. They're going to give back
mm.
to you. The thing is that reciprocity is a practice. That means we're consciously aware, you and I, we're coming into this relationship and we're going to add value to one another, and we're both going to benefit from this connection. If
Right.
you find, and I found myself giving out of history, and because we have history, and because I
Yes.
care, and because I love, that I just kept doing and giving and doing and giving, even
Yes.
when it wasn't asked, but giving and doing and giving, because we have history and we've known each other, and we do these things. And the entire time I'm thinking, if this person walks out of my life right now, would I lose anything? Anything?
That's
And
the reality. Sometimes it's not. Nothing. It's
I thought about
crumbs.
it, and I was like, wait a minute. And I found myself starting to get resentful,
Yes.
bitter,
Yes.
and attitudey. You know what I mean? Because, but if I already knew, why did I keep doing this if I knew they were not reciprocating?
Mm. Do
So
you know
what
what? Do
was
you
I
know what I
still
call it?
looking?
Breaking your own heart. Stop. I always say, Silver, stop breaking your own heart. Stop.
Yes, that's exactly what it was. So why would I continue to give
Yeah.
into a connection that does not care to reciprocate on any
Yes.
level toward
Yes.
me?
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, Nancy, are you still looking for acceptance from this one person?
Yes.
Come
Mm,
on. I work with people all the time, but I have to be honest. I said, I'm not exempt from going through some of the same things that I coach people through. I'm like,
absolutely.
Nancy, what are you looking for? What is it? What is it that you're holding on to? Why
Mm,
is it so difficult? And it wasn't that we didn't even get along. It wasn't that we didn't have fun when we were together and hanging out or whatnot, my friend. But at the end of the day, I found myself feeling worse
mm,
than better, because there was no reciprocation
right.
in the relationship. And for any relationship, and I believe this with everything in me, it's not about giving the exact same thing that you give, right? Not
Yeah,
getting,
exactly.
but
Exactly.
reciprocating, giving something to the connection. No relationship can survive without reciprocity. I don't care if it's a
Yeah.
business partnership. It doesn't matter what kind of friendship, a romantic
Mm-hmm.
relationship. We have to want to reciprocate. If not, we're going to end up
Absolutely.
bitter and resentful and angry. And the only person that it was like, Nancy, you did this to you.
Yeah. You
You did
develop
it
your
to
own
you.
poison. It's like a poison to self, isn't it? I know that feeling because I've definitely
Oh,
lived it. But let me add to what you're saying. I think I said this to my girl Sandy, who's on the live. I think it was like a few days ago. I'm sure I did, about relationships, even friendships, but especially with any kind of relationship with
right.
anybody. It's like a bank account or a building society. If you keep withdrawing, I'm going to be in the minus. So
Honey,
I
that's
can't keep
negative.
depositing and you keep withdrawing. At
Mm-hmm.
some point, we're going to be bankrupt and going to owe the bank some money. Okay,
Right,
and
right.
that's when the resentment, the anger, the bitterness comes in, because now I'm in the minus.
Yes,
But you did it to yourself.
yes, yes. We do it to ourselves, and if we find ourselves depleted and in the negative.
Yeah. Do you see?
And
And
so
that's what it is, though. It is actually a withdrawal deposit relationship with everything. There has to be equilibrium,
everything.
balance. There has to be.
Oh, absolutely. And it's not even like, and the reason why, I was saying is not necessarily receiving the exact same thing,
Exact same thing,
but
right?
for there to be not even balance, because it's really, I feel it's impossible to balance any relationship. I can't give 100% to you, and you. I
Mm-hmm.
can't. But what I can do is make sure that our relationship is harmonious, meaning the time that I give to you, when I do give it to you, you have my undivided attention. I got your
But
back.
that is the
I am
balance I'm
right
talking
here.
about in itself.
It's that reciprocity that brings
Mm.
harmony to any connection. And
Mm.
so this note might be high, this note might be low, I might be in a
Mm.
low, you might be in a high, but if we come together,
Yeah.
we can make sure that our relationship continues to grow and evolve. And you mentioned something as far as, maybe, even someone leaving or exiting our life, it has nothing to do with us not being good, or I had this conversation with a girlfriend the other day, and she was just like, I said, do you feel that when someone leaves or exits your life, that something's wrong with you, like something's broken with you because they
But
don't want
sometimes it is, though, Nancy.
it,
Let's not
right?
let's not escape.
It is.
Sometimes it is.
Oh, no, sometimes it is. But I said, that is not the case. What we have to learn to do is to release people. If
Yeah.
they don't want to stay, then it's okay to release them. Not only in the releasing is the pain going to subside and it's going to go away, your heart's going to not be broken anymore, but we're not allowing people to, because we keep pulling them back in, or they keep stepping back in, and we allow it. Do you know what I mean?
There,
When
I was gonna
really
go. They hold on to you, and you give too much space.
yes, it's like,
Leave
and then
that
it's like,
door
oh,
ajar to break your heart again.
yes. And so, of course, in the letting go, I feel that we're not allowing ourselves to step into our next season or stage.
Yeah. Yes.
Who is that next person that's supposed to be stepping into my life, but because of the energy I'm giving to someone that's not even reciprocating on any level at all, how am I gonna, I have at this point stuck my growth because I'm holding on to something that's not even good anymore. It's possibly toxic. And that's one of the things I was, sharing with my friend. And I was saying, honey, it's difficult and it's painful and it hurts, but we're doing it to ourselves. And at any
Yeah.
moment, we can let them go. We can release them. And, and the whole thing is that it's not even that the person is even, like she was telling me, wasn't even in her space anymore and hasn't been, but she's holding on here. And that's the difficult one right there. When they're not even around at all. They're nowhere near you. You haven't seen them. You don't talk to them.
Oh,
But
wow.
but you are still holding on. That letting go is a whole nother story.
It's like having a phantom. It's quite phantom, isn't it? And
Yes, and it's very, very, very painful. And one of the things that, like I said, I was holding on to personally, that I was able, that's why I was like, I want to talk about this, because there's different ways we hold on to things. And as far as guilt is never ever a good feeling. It's just not good. My daughter that I adopted, her mother died in a car accident. And when she passed away, I remember I got the call that morning, but that night she was supposed to, meet up with me, and she was running a little bit late. And I was going to pick up the phone because I was also mentoring her. I was going to pick up the phone just to tell her that I love her. And I was going to pick up the phone and just tell her, hey, I'm saving your seat, because we were somewhere and I was waiting for her.
Okay.
And I said, oh, she'll just show up. And I just put my phone down. And I got the call later that night. She never made it to where I was, and she had died in the car accident. So I didn't realize that, even though like I dealt with the pain of her leaving the
Sorry,
planet.
mate, just for clarification, your adopted daughter passed away.
My adopted daughter's birth
The
mother.
mother, right?
The
Okay, go
mother,
ahead.
which I loved so dearly. Oh my gosh. And I mentored her and all that. That's how I got my daughter that way. But with her, what I realized is that I had held on to the guilt of not picking the phone up and calling her. Is it possible that I could have got her there and she would have made it and she would still be here? And I thought, okay, but Nancy, like there was nothing, nothing. And then yes, I could have, maybe I could have picked up the phone, but I didn't realize that I literally was holding the guilt of not making that phone call.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh God, I was like, and I knew it because my heart was heavy. Every time I would think about it, I would try to distract myself to even like to go there. So I was already starting to bury it. You know what I mean? And so even those types of things of letting go, especially when it's in your energetic field, I'm not talking about someone just leaving, you letting them exit your life or someone like letting go of someone. But when you can't let go energetically, that is, I mean, they're in your energy field. They're all up in here, and so I worked on that. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to blame myself for her not being here.
Yeah.
Nancy, there's nothing you could have done. There was different things. I was like, there was so many reasons why she shouldn't have been in that car. First of all, she didn't have a license and she didn't know how to drive.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
that
so
was
I'm
not
like,
fault.
that was, it was definitely, even if I would have made the call, maybe nothing would have happened. I don't know. But what I do know is that it wasn't me to take on. And I think those types of things that we need to learn how to let go. And I think that during this whole quarantine where people have been really isolated, really with themselves, they're discovering so many things that they are still holding on to. But because we're going through life so quickly, everything is so fast and we're going to work and we're getting up and we're in this routine that we don't even realize the things that are affecting us and the things that we haven't really dealt with on a soul level. Because our soul consists of our mind, our will, our emotions, and our intellect. And that is where our beliefs are. That's where our core values are. That's where all that is. And when that space is messed up and we're not healing that area, we're going through life heavier and heavier and heavier. And before we know it, there's sickness in our body.
Yeah.
There's mental illness because of it, because we've not let things go. We've not let it go. When I tell you, I mean,
Can I allow me to share what I've noticed? It's a bit like the word forgiveness. When we talk about, we say we must forgive. And over years, I kind of thought about that in terms of when we say you must forgive. And you cannot actually tell yourself to forgive. This is just my theory.
Right.
This is what I've done. There's been moments where I've said to myself, I do not forgive that person for what they've done. But here's the difference. Lord, I want to.
Right.
Okay? So you can't force yourself into letting go or forgiving. But the will, when I say to myself, Lord, I may not forgive in this moment, but I'm telling you that I want to forgive. So you take the will. The fact that I'm willing must mean something, even if it's not here right now.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And through that space, I have actually naturally forgiven because I haven't forced myself as forgive. You must forgive. You must forgive. It's a bit, like saying you mustn't hate. You mustn't hate. It just doesn't work like that.
Right.
Because we're coached to actually say that to ourselves or to others. So in terms of letting go, I have actually done like meditations where I imagine the individual actually disappearing slowly, visualization. And I found by not bully riding myself, saying, you should know better. I literally just naturally let go. And I asked myself what you asked, what is it one is holding on to? And sometimes it's just the picture of the vacancy. There's nothing. It's actually crumbs sometimes.
Right. And you're talking about forgiveness, because we know forgiveness ultimately is not really for the other person, it's for us. You know what I mean? Because
that's what I'm saying. So it's the forgiving of self. So the will helps you release your own poison that you've developed through keeping all these feelings.
Right. Because I think, and I honestly, self-forgiveness was probably the most difficult thing for me. Because the most, I think, difficult thing I've had to do in my life is to forgive myself. Because let's just say all these different scenarios, people that, that came into my life, and, that I can be holding all kind of unforgiveness, but I don't, because I don't like the way that feels. But it's so funny how people can do wrong. You can forgive, but then you hold on to unforgiveness of self, because I
Mm.
allowed it to happen. I allowed them to stay in my space when I knew the red flags were there. Everything was,
Yeah.
it was evident, it was
Mm.
obvious. And we still, and a lot of times it comes down to forgiving ourselves. And that is the challenging thing, is
Mm.
forgiving ourselves for a lot of times for the things that we have allowed to step into our space. You know what I'm saying? But then it's like, why was this allowed anyway? So a lot of times it's now, let's go back to that little girl, what she was lacking, what she still
There
didn't
you
get, what
go.
she still had to
Psychodynamic, all the
bring.
way back. Yep.
Yes, it's
Mm-hmm.
like you got to go all the way back and say,
Mm-hmm.
okay, this is coming from way back here and I'm
Mm-hmm.
carrying it into my adult life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so that's why maybe I drew this connection.
Yeah.
Is it possible? Okay. And so when we get there and we're in that space of, being more aware and mindful of ourselves, our surroundings, the people we're connecting to, and we have to, when we start doing that, you start listening to yourself a little bit
Mm-hmm.
more,
Mm-hmm.
because you're mindful of yourself and aware of others and just our environment as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And so it's now, with this whole situation that I was sharing, with my daughter's birth mother.
Yeah.
And when I tell you, I didn't realize I was even carrying it, though I would feel it. And I just thought, oh, it's just sadness that maybe it's creeping up,
Mm.
from her death or whatever. But no, it wasn't that. It was that I was feeling guilty. So I just didn't want to deal with it. And when
Mm.
I was honest enough with myself about why was I making myself responsible for her death? Because that's what it was.
Yeah.
That if
Mm.
maybe that phone call would have changed it. And maybe it would have, maybe it didn't, but I cannot. I said, I can't carry that. That load is too heavy to
Yeah.
make myself responsible for something like that.
Yeah.
And we do that. We do that so much with different things that we're choosing within ourselves, because a lot of times, even let's say for someone that maybe was raped, like I can say myself, because I was raped.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, the forgiving was good, was easy,
Mm.
but it was now I put myself in that situation.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like, I should have known better and I shouldn't have, XYZ. And so when we start going there, we start dealing with that inner stuff that really does keep going all the way back to the childhood space that.
Mm.
And if we're not allowing ourselves to be aware and to really be mindful of where we are and why we're doing what we're doing, we're never going to really be fully free within ourselves. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm finding that now, like I said, during this whole time, I mean, I'm pretty much with myself all the time. There's
Yeah,
one
me
thing,
too. Me too. Mm.
it's like people can be by themselves, but not be with themselves, if
Oh
that
my
makes
God,
sense.
speak it. Speak
Listen,
it. I
being
love
with
speaking to you,
yourself is
Nancy.
different.
Yeah. Yes.
It's,
The
yeah, when
different.
I say different, I mean different.
Mm.
It's kind of like being isolated and choosing solitude. There's a
Yes.
difference.
Yes.
Isolation, you are thrust in it because you are depleted, you are wore out, you have been
Mm.
beating yourself up, and you're so sick and you're so, infected that you are thrown into isolation. That is
Mm.
different
That is
than
different.
me saying consciously, I'm going to pull away because something's not right with me right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Something's surfacing and I need to deal with me.
Mm-hmm.
That's when we start really being with ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
which is something that is, I feel, so important in order for us to know that we're healed, for us to grow, to evolve, to learn, to expand, to just be more of who we have always been from the moment we got here. It's almost like we're having to unlearn all of this stuff about ourselves that we took on because we've been living life and having these experiences. So when we get into the space where we're now more mindful and more aware of ourselves, now I can put my finger on what I'm not letting go of. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I've pulled myself away into solitude. I know something's not right, Nancy. You keep pushing this down. You notice it, but you keep going. But I'm
Mm.
aware, until I'm like, okay, I'm ready. And that's the thing, is also we're needing to be ready to
Mm.
let go, because a lot of times in the letting go, there's going to be a lot of hurt, a lot of pain,
Yeah.
a lot of I don't want to, but I
But
feel
not
bad.
always though, I mean, that greatly, yes, but sometimes I have experienced, like I said to you, generally 99.9, honestly, I've trained myself this way
That's
from
so
my
good.
20s. I don't feel any trauma letting go. I feel none of it. I feel released. I
Right.
feel free. I feel empowered. God's honest truth. So I've
That's so
I've
good.
had the reverse of I was told the other day in a dispute, you prep yourself. That's why yeah, I have prepped myself. That's right. I have. And it's like going to the gym. After a while, you know, those
Right.
20 push-ups can go to 70 because
Right.
I've built muscle and still a memory. So
Right.
I don't tend to have trauma letting go. But there's always that Hercules heel. So when
Right.
you don't and you go about it the opposite way,
Mm-hmm.
I found the trauma is, when I look at what it is for me, is never being given closure. I've had to identify what it is that bugs me. So when I
Right.
look at my journey through everything,
Mm-hmm.
friends, relationships, there's never, I'm always the one that's like, let me try to close this
Right.
appropriately, or let's have dinner and discuss why, and then if it doesn't work out, then cool.
Right.
I'm
Right.
always, but what it is, I've noticed that I don't ever get an explanation of any bad behavior or ill treatment, or even misunderstanding. There's never an
Right.
apology. I've got to say, so you can't say sorry, you feel no way about that. So
Right.
I've always, seeked that. The stories come because
Yes.
I probed the story. So it's
Right.
always been the conflict and the resentment of, I got an apology because I probed it. I've had
Right.
to find my own closure. But it's the
Right.
non-closure that used to, and even sometimes still
Right.
rides me. But I've got really good because sometimes you've got to find your own closure,
Well, I mean,
you know?
yeah, no
But
one
that was
ever.
what gets me. That was what my trauma was, the non-closure of people.
Right. And for for me, just personally, the closure is that's for me, the closure, wanting the closure. I know that it's never been like you say, no one ever gives you that. No one, they don't give it
But
to us
I
the way
actually
we want
do.
it. You know what I mean? Like
I
people
give
don't.
it. I give closure.
Right, because you're wanting that, but of course if they don't practice that, they don't care, they don't have the need to. But it is something that
Crazy.
we have to, that I've learned that I have to do with myself,
With
because
myself.
with
Yeah.
myself, like I have to first of all, what story am I telling myself? Like what am I
Mm,
really telling myself in this whole scenario? If I feel that I've done everything right, to right by you as a friend, if I
yeah.
know I've done wrong, and I just want to know why, like this whole thing that
Mm,
we wanted, this closure, it's really, the going through the whole thing of, okay, Nancy, you did everything that
mm,
you would have wanted somebody to do for you in a connection. And so the closure has to come from within, but we also
mm,
have to be ready for that closure. And I think that's a form of, like, I guess for me, that is painful, because it's like
mm.
not having closure is not letting go. And
Exactly. But for me, I think that a closure from family, friends, and
right,
personal relationships is
right,
three different emotions. It's still closure, but it has a
yeah,
different effect. So imagine you have a
right,
relationship for 10 years with somebody.
right,
Okay. Let's be honest. Nancy and Silver was not always the golden child in it. We played our role. Okay.
right,
We played our role. Whether it means you were initiated the love, the understanding, but maybe sometimes you clap back, because my clapbacks, let me just disclaimer. No, I have to, Nancy, seriously, this is where truth comes out, guys. I can say to somebody, this is offensive, or
mhm,
that actually hurt me when you done this. I would always be willing. I don't like when you do that. Can I explain why? Can I elaborate why and what that means to me, what that trigger is? And I'll go into childhood or whatever it is. If I
right,
feel you're not respecting the fact that I am very transparent, I've given you warnings, because I already know my clapback is so severe. You're gonna need counselling after I'm done with you. I know what I'm like. And Nancy, I'm bad. I'm no. Listen, look, hands up. No one would even admit to you how bad it is, but they would say Silver gives you warnings. We didn't take her seriously. They saw this pretty orange pout and got it twisted. Okay, my clapback is serious. So when I decide you're not gonna get the pretty little thing no more, you are left like a pretzel. So then we become
oh
the
wow,
person that is the bad guy in the scenario. But at the same
right,
time, because it's almost like self-defense mechanism, and however,
right,
it is that case of, let's try and leave things in a respectable way. It doesn't always end up like that. So imagine you're in a 10, 15, even if it's a 5-month relationship. I do feel like you've energy exchanged. You've had a place in someone's life.
Right.
So let's say I just decided not to call you again. And I didn't say to you, guess what? As a man, Nancy, this is the reason why I don't want to be in your life anymore. I always say, this is why, this is how I feel. And this is the reason why I'm moving myself. I give you that closure.
See, that's awesome, because
You know why? It's because of the damage that can be caused for the next person they meet.
Yes, because people will definitely take the experience they have. Why my phone keeps ringing? I put a thing on it.
But people don't think like that. They just could be in your life for 5 minutes.
Someone does for you, they'll have the next person pay for it. You know what I mean? So if one person did this to you, like if I fell out with you, I'm not gonna take us falling out and take them to my next friendship.
Yeah,
and assume that they're gonna be the same way. You know, I'm really forgiving. I'm really, you know, when people wanna, you know, them walking away, I'm not gonna, you know, okay, I did everything. Depending on what the situation is, what the scenarios, the letting go, of course, we deal with those scenarios and those situations. But when I tell you, I mean, I'm good. I can respect somebody. If you told me that, I'd be like, hell yeah. I'd be like, that's what I'm talking about. That's
no,
respect.
people are not trying to be that way.
Respect.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, because I don't want to be treated like that. So yes, I'm that one that'll come to you and say, hey, but if you just invalidate my feelings, what I'm telling you, what I'm sharing with you, regardless, it's like, okay, then that's where, you know, you're going to have to be like, okay, this is where you start severing connections. You know, a lot of times we're the ones, you know, severing the connections versus someone exiting, you know, so, but that is so good, honey. What's her name? Say you are savage.
Huh?
Claudetta said you're a savage.
Girl. Listen to me, girl. Listen. You see, I'm even holding my head. Girl, my clapbacks are so severe, God comes and speaks to me. Right. I swear to God. But you know what? I would have warned your ass.
Oh my gosh. I believe that.
And I would say, you're going to need therapy by the time I'm done with you. And I don't care if you're 6'5". I have men say, you destroyed me. No, you didn't take heed. Right. And what actually bugs me, this is a real example, even recently. Sometimes someone can carry on until you do have to verbalize. And I don't even mean getting all animated. My word. Right. It comes with a verbal penknife. I brought a double-edged army.
Right. You come there just
verbally, okay? Right. And I feel like God says to me sometimes, and this is the truth, this is what I'm working on. Okay, Silva, you've warned them. They kind of in one way deserve that, but now the poison's left of you because you've erupted. That's the worst kind of, let me tell you, because you can look at why you've done this, why you've said it, and what they've done, and da-da-da-da-da-da. But the fact that God would say to me a lot in spiritual, just the whole spiritual energy is, they are sometimes unaware of self. You actually know better. So I'm coming to you to rebuke you, Silva. Right. That's the hardest pill to swallow.
Oh, honey, listen, because I feel you on that one.
You come and punch me in the face, Nancy. I've warned you 3 times. You keep punching me. Now taking all your out, girl. Yeah. And guess who gets the blame in my spirit? Me. Because I was supposed to know better based on my makeup. Right. Oh, honey, that's what I'm dealing with at the moment in my personal. That is hard.
Right. And it's almost like, God, why do I always have to be the bigger person? Why do I have to be the one to always be the one to apologize or to what in the world, but you know what? I feel that a lot of that, it's not even just that it's something that internally I think is just who we are. And it feels wrong because it's tied to our values and it's tied to all of that. Like, you know what I mean? So you're like, so it's like, if you want to be respected, and no matter if they did something where you know what, it merited you going off on them, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, it still didn't feel good to go off on them. You know what I mean?
That's it. That's it. One of my friends, he says, he calls me a verbal machine gun. He's like, no, you don't want to just keep it friendly with Silver because I give warnings, but it's not. I don't have a temper where I'm wilding out on people every minute. It's not that. I'm just very much like, Nancy, come on, can we talk about this?
Right.
Can we have dinner? Can we, especially in partnerships, like, and then I'll be like, TikTok, 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 and I'm that person. TikTok, this can
Right.
go on for months. I give you a long stretch sometimes. But then I read a
That's
quote that said, pain can change you.
oh, honey, yes, yes, it can. But see that even that, it's like I don't. The idea of just my experiences, some of the stuff that we're
Mm-hmm.
talking about just now, I don't want it to change who I am, and I don't mean like for the good. Yes, like
Right,
if I
right.
love you and you treat me like shit, you're not gonna cause me to stop loving like I do. You're not gonna,
Mm.
you not reciprocating is not gonna stop me from giving to the next person. Like you're not,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, no, like I don't want to give you that power. That I'm not gonna give. I'm gonna
No.
continue to be loving. I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
continue to, if I went off, even though it was your fault, let's say you started the shit. Okay, I'm still going to apologize because no
Mm.
matter what, I still upset you. And at the end of the
Yes,
day,
yes.
I'm going to be who I am, and I'm going to walk in my integrity and the character and the type of person that I'm choosing to be. You're not going to change that. I
Right.
will not give anybody that power. Now
And
that
that's
I won't
amazing.
give nobody that
But
power.
I think what has changed with me, just with people in a whole, and it's not always down to pain. It could be frustration, or it can be just valuing yourself more. There's so
Oh,
many titles.
absolutely.
What I will say has happened through all different categories: pain, whether it's again valuing oneself, loving yourself a
Mm-hmm.
bit more,
Right.
or setting boundaries and barriers for people how they treat
Right.
you. I've zero. Maybe you could take a month of it. I'm giving you 1 day, and it's a wrap with me. That's what's changed with me, and it can be seen as a
Wow.
negative to some people because they want to be able to stretch me a little more so I can put up with more bullshit. Okay. Yeah, no, this is what I've noticed. You've got no patience, and I'll say, with what? Break it down because they can't because you want to give more bullshit or more of what I don't like. So I will
Right.
go from 1 to 10 in 60 seconds. You're not gonna have that.
Right. Wow.
I guess in some ways how I may display that can be seen as a negative
Right. Right.
because you don't have the
Mhm.
patience to go through
Yeah.
all. Do you know what I mean? When you see it once, two, three times, you recognize bullshit when it's coming.
Right. Oh, honey, that's it right
I
there.
got a bullshit monitor. My batteries are in my back.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
Duracell.
Right. Right. Wow. Yeah.
So that's what it is. So in that way, it's been seen as a negative in me, and I'm honest with that. I'm honest with my good, my bad, and the other.
Right.
Letting
Well, I mean,
go.
well, we should be. I mean, because that's the only way we can grow.
Mm,
Like,
mm,
we're not required to be the same person we were even 20 minutes ago. If I can pick up a book, I can study something, and it'll shift something in me. And there's things last year that I believe that I don't believe this year. It's
mm,
like I don't have to be the same person. But what I
mm.
do want to do is just be a better version of myself in a
Yeah,
sense,
yeah.
because I know the areas in which I struggle. You know what I
Mm,
mean? If I love you, that's what I'm telling you. If I love you, oh Lord Jesus, help me. You know what I mean? It's like, help me, because I just want to give you the world. Because I do enjoy giving. I just, oh
yeah.
my God, it's just,
Me too. Me
I
too.
love that. I love that. And so, but it's like, Nancy, just relax a little bit,
Yeah.
And I
That's
think that a
that's
lot
where
of
I'm
times,
at. I want to touch on something that you said that was because every time I speak to you, you always use phrases or words that bring up so much reflectivity. I love speaking with you, and I watch back every live. Yeah, every live I do, and I'm always like, I like when that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I like that word. And before you go, something you said about the guilt when your friend passed away. About had you answered that call, and I wanted to say to you because I listen to a lot of affirmations in the morning before I start my day. And I was listening to something about 2 months ago, and it spoke about guilt. And the gentleman spoke about there's two layers or levels of guilt that he's recognized, which is the guilt that we feel genuinely and the guilt that we think we should feel based on other people's perception.
right.
That hit me. I
Okay.
rewinded that back about four
Wow.
times. But what? And what he was trying to say is, it's like, for an example, I could say, I feel guilty because Claudetta thinks that I should have called Nancy. I don't feel the guilt, but I'm guilty artificially because I think that Claudetta thinks I should do that. But that's not me thinking that. It's what I think someone else thinks I should be doing.
Right, right.
That was deep. I've never heard of it.
Wow, no, that makes sense. It makes perfect sense. Yeah.
So different levels of guilt. Is it guilt that we own, or guilt that we feel society or family or friends feel that we should have been, or react or be in a certain situation or position?
Right. Right. I mean, I guess it just depends on only we would be able to know what that is. I know for me, it was me. I mean, I took it on, and honestly, this is what's crazy, because it was two reasons why I felt that. Like, I felt like as far as that, I was feeling the guilt from that, that situation, was that I felt like why didn't I just call her, right?
So it was your guilt, yeah.
Yeah, that was me. And then listen to this one. I also felt guilt because under the same thing, she was in my heart, but she stayed in trouble. Let me tell you, honey. I was forever rescuing her I was just like, this chick, oh my God. And no, I don't know what it was about her that I could not I guess because of all the stuff I already knew she had been through. So I was like, I'm not going to give up on this chick. I'm just loving on her. And so when I got the phone call, when the deputy sheriff called and, they finally found me, to let me know that she had passed away in a car accident. After I hung up, I felt relief. Listen to me. I felt like,
tell me about that. What was the relief?
The relief was, I'm tired of stressing out and I was the stress that I was putting on myself because I cared about her, and I was always nervous that something was going to happen, because of the situations that she was putting herself in. And I remember saying to her, if I need you to get your shit together, get it together, I said, don't leave me here. I don't want to get that phone call in the middle of the night that something happened to you and there's nothing I'm going to be able to do. Nothing. I said, you're going to leave me here fighting for your body. That's what I said. Because
so did you feel guilty, feeling relieved? Was that a part of the guilt as well?
Yes. So then when I felt that, I remember thinking, oh God, I don't have to worry about her anymore. When I tell you, it was like a ton of bricks that just lifted off my chest. And then immediately I was in the bathroom after I got off the phone because I was bawling and crying. The relief, it lifted. And then immediately I was like, way down immediately because of, oh my God, she's dead. And I feel relieved. What's wrong with you?
How long were you friends?
She was 8. She died at 25, and I knew I met her. She came into my life at 18 years old.
And how old's her daughter now?
Nadia is 13.
And you still have her with you?
Yeah, she's 13, and I've had her since she was 6 weeks old. She released her
to you and everything.
Yeah, she was with since she was a baby, since she came home from the hospital.
Really.
I was there when she was born. And when I tell you, it's just the weight. But so the guilt, I didn't realize that was a part of the holding on. It was heavy. It was really, 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 really heavy to carry. I'm so glad that I made it through that.
That is, wow. Is there any last words that you'd like to leave us with tonight?
Just allow the letting go process to be just that. And don't be upset that you held on for it for so long, because at the end of the day, I really do feel that when we are ready, that's when we're going to do it. No matter what kind of letting go we're doing. Yeah. We have to, we let go when we're ready to let go. But also a reminder, the hurt is still there because you're still holding on. So just consider that.
It's a cycle, isn't it? Yeah, Nancy, you are amazing. You have been amazing. I love speaking with you. Thank you so much for coming back and gracing with your presence. And of course, at some point, once again, you're going to come back and I'm going to see you again.
Yes.
Wow. I'm going to read some. Shall I read some of your comments before you go? Let's do that. Yeah. Let's do that. Let me see. Can I find some comments? Because I'm sure Lee popped on. Let me see. Let me go. Do you know these comments keep running away? Let me see. I can see Claudetta saying something, but every time I push the screen, let me do gently. Am I just a bit too rough with it? Hang on. Claudetta says sometimes it's necessary. She also says that's awesome and admirable. Sorry, sometimes when I read the comments, it's such a way back when you said it. I can't always remember what it related to, but of course Nancy's been the only speaker on this post, so it's all for you, Nancy. Claudetta does say silver is admitted savage. Yes, baby, sometimes it's like that. Savage in orange lipstick. Hang on a minute. What's that? And if something was a fifth, would all be drunk? What? Did I miss something there? Yeah, those woulda, shoulda, couldas. Yep, will bury you alive, girl. Absolutely right. Let's go up a little bit. That's Claudetta. Let me see. Amen, Miss Adina says, I'm not sure at what point, but I'm just reading all your comments back. What it is, guys, I'm so sorry I don't read your comments exactly when you message it. What it is very disruptive if I keep stopping speaking to read comments. So I've got to keep a flow and then make a space to then read the comments. But don't worry, it doesn't mean you can't keep having the comments in, but it means that, unfortunately, I read it slightly delayed at times. So Claudetta, once again, I completely understand the sense of relief. I struggled with it for a while. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, let's go. Letting go is just like death. Oh, where's the comment gone? Claudetta, letting go is just like death. It's a part of life. Wow, that's a powerful bar. Yeah. Amazing. Wow. Thank you so much for your comments. Nancy, that was all for you. Nancy, thank you very much. Please feel free to exit the live, and I'll see you again.
It was wonderful.
Namaste, sweetness. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, wow, guys, that was amazing. That was Nancy Manning sharing her soul-evoking experiences and thoughts on letting go. Is there anyone on the live that would like to jump on? All the speakers that wanted to speak, that reserved their space, has had their moment to speak. Does anyone want to return, or does anyone that hasn't had a turn would like to come before I close the live? If so, send me a request now, or put a comment in the box so I know it's you and I'll come get you. Let me know your thoughts. Is there anyone else? Is there anyone else? And if there isn't, I would just thank you so much for stopping by this evening, for sharing your interaction in the comments box. Everyone, thank you so much. And thank you to those that took the time to also share. Friday, there is another live. Let's see, it's supposed to be a sex therapist by the name of Lady Diana. Hopefully that still goes on Friday. Let me just see what Claudetta says. Another great live, wish I could have. I'm babysitting and running you ragged. That's all right, girl. You're going to pull up on the next live whenever you're ready. You already know this. You don't even need an invite. You don't even need an invite, girl. You can invite the damn self. Yeah. That's amazing. Thank you guys so much. And God willing, I will see you on Friday. Thank you for joining us on the first episode of Soul Talk with Silver on Free Flowing Thoughts. Peace and love. Is there somebody else trying to get in? Oh, this looks like Sandy. I wonder. Has Sandy decided to pull up last minute? Let's see. Do we have one more guest speaker? Oh, hello, we do. Hello, Mademoiselle. What's going on?
Hi, you all right?
I know her, guys.
Let me just turn this off. I was listening to you on my iPad.
All right.
Sorry, I was listening.
Says, thank you for having me on Silver. Enough respect. You are welcome. So, Sandy, let's see what we can do for the next 15 minutes. How are you today?
I'm tired, but I'm good. I'm good. I've
Okay, you're tired too. Good. Nancy, yes, it has been amazing. So, what would you like to speak about? I'm going to get straight into it because I know you don't want to talk about how your day was. Go on. What are you going to talk about?
I don't know. I actually missed some of what Nancy was talking. I missed half of the
That's
show.
all right. You can watch the playback.
But, I liked what she had to say. I think I just wanted to say one of the things I was going to say about letting go is there's this guy, and Thich Nhat Hanh, and he says instead of letting go, you should throw away, because when you let go, it can come back. But if you throw it away, if you're ready to get rid of it, then you throw it away and not let it go. Because
That's a bar.
Because there's also a saying, if you let it go, if you set it free, which is almost letting it go, it can come back to you of its own free will. If you don't want it to come back, then throw it away. And don't get me wrong, it's a hard lesson to learn. It's a hard lesson to learn.
I love it.
Just throw it away.
But it sounds like something I thought about, because I was thinking about, putting an emotion in the trash. So that actually confirmed that for me.
Yeah, and don't even put it in the recycle. Put it in the trash, the one that's going to go. Not the recycle, the one that's going to go, for sure. But that's all, that's all to, I don't know, I think, I also like the fact of talking about when you both of you kind of mentioned, like, I think there was a saying that Nancy said, I thought that just really jumped out at me. I wanted to jump up and down with that. And it's the one about there's being alone and being by yourself.
No, being alone and being with yourself.
And being, it's a difference.
Yeah.
That's really, I like that, because there's a lot of people that don't understand how to be with themselves. And I think that's a problem. And instead of saying, oh, I'm just here by myself, they've never taken a chance to look at themselves and say, look at me, let me just be with myself for a minute. Just even be with myself for a hot minute. Stop trying to make, there's sometimes when we're on our own, actually on our own, and we're trying to find things to make ourselves busy.
Busy in yourself,
And you don't need to be busy. What do you need to be busy for? What for?
I always say there's a difference between being alone and being lonely. And the minute we differentiate the two, we're going to be okay. Don't confuse. Yeah, because, I love being alone, but do I like lonely? No, but I love being alone. I love being with self. That's also a second rendition to what Nancy said as well. Being alone and being with self.
Yeah.
And I would say also the difference between being alone and being lonely.
That's true. That's true.
Nobody wants to be lonely.
No, nobody wants to be lonely.
But then not everyone also can be willingly by themselves.
That's true. I don't know. It's a long journey, and it doesn't. And I think the other thing is because we're almost not conditioned that way. Yeah. So we always seek to have to be around people, and I'm not telling you shouldn't be around people, but there's times when you need to take time out and be with self, because if you're not with yourself, if you can't like yourself and being with yourself, why the hell do you expect anybody else to?
Exactly. Do you know what? If you see me when I'm on my own, half of the time, I've got my music on sometimes, I've got the food cooking. You'd think, has she got a whole house of people? Me, one, you should see my hair's in a bun. I look like a totally different person. My hair's in two pigtails, and I'm vibing, and I'm laughing. I'm like, oh, you like a mad person. Yeah, because I'm totally by myself, vibing. And I'm like, you know what, Sylvia, you dope as hell. Me one.
Me one.
And I'm like, girl, is that weird? But I'm like, no, you actually know how to enjoy yourself with yourself.
Exactly.
And when in people's company, they're like, do you smoke? No. You actually like this? You be smoking trees? I'm like,
you're high on life. Sometimes
I'm like.
You just have to be high on life, and that's all.
I could be crying in 1 minute and literally be busting up in laughter within the next 10 minutes.
And the other thing that was said, there was something else that was said tonight that I just wanted to highlight. And I think it was, you mentioned about, which I think is quite admirable, because a lot of people don't do this, is when you say about looking for closure. I kind of agree with Nancy in a way that if you go and look for closure after you've said you've let go, then to me, truly you haven't let go.
No. You misunderstood that part. It wasn't seeking closure after letting go. No. That part would make sense. Yeah. What I was saying is I was relating to what part of the letting go that I would struggle with before you even let go.
Yeah.
Because, okay, for an example, you could let go in your mind and say, this is not right for me.
Yeah.
So you've let go of the concept of the dream of what you had, the fantasy of what you wanted. But then now closing it with the official cutting of ties is another step to letting go.
Oh, okay. I think I misinterpreted.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah.
I think I misinterpreted what was said. But I like the fact that I like the honesty that when you said you would sit down to a person and tell them why, because sometimes people, and I don't know if that will bring closure to some people, because it might not, but I think it's a good thing for people to be able to, just to have that conversation. And sometimes even for somebody to turn around and say to somebody, well, this is what you did. I pointed it out. And at the time I pointed it out, you took it as if it was nothing, but you didn't recognize that it was an issue to me.
Yeah.
And then you want to come back and act like I didn't say it. And then when it's repeated to you, you're saying, but you're still holding on to that. I said, well, it wasn't dealt with in the beginning. Yes, I am holding on to it. And if you can't accept what I'm saying or what's been said, or at least, like very much like you said, are you only apologizing because I bought the
that is my pet hate. You know that.
And my biggest hate is when somebody says this, oh, well, if this is how you, and if this, then I'm sorry. I'm like, well, it's either you're sorry or you're not sorry. It's not if this happened, it happened. So are you sorry? It's very, I
truly feel the minute you've got to ask someone directly or indirectly, it's kind of like, I don't even want to hear it anymore.
Yeah. I never forget one time we was out. I was just going to say, one time we was out having some drinks with a couple of friends of mine, and there was a group across the other side that were eating their food and decided to have a food fight, and they threw their food. Yeah, literally threw their food, and one of it landed right in front of me, and I was like, and my friend looked at me, because you know me, I was about to let loose, and my friend said to me, Sandra, I said, no. I turned around and I said to them, excuse me. And they said, oh, this is what she said, if it happened. I said, so what the hell did you say to me? She said, I said, no, it didn't. It's not an if it happened. It happened. So if you're going to apologize, apologize. I said, because believe you me, you see the food you're eating and the ashtray I've got right here. We will have a fight. We will have something now. I said, it's not an if. If you're going to apologize, apologize. So that's, in that sense, I really hated that. And then the next thing, all of them, they just went, there's about 20 of them, all went quiet and went like, whoa. I went, yeah, this is a different game part. You can go do this to your family, your friends, but you're not doing it to me. This man in front of me, have some respect, apologize. Don't tell me if, apologize. And it also goes with relationships. I hate that. If I did this, and if I did, you did it. Either you apologize or you don't. Why am I seeking an apology?
People don't want to admit. I think that is also, we can talk about pet hates on another show, but that's one thing that I cannot stand. I cannot stand. That's the thing that rides me. And that's another thing why you have to let go sometimes of people that are 20/20 vision when it comes to putting out flaws with you, but Stevie Wonder with themselves. You can't see a damn thing. I can't stand people like that. Living up dropping names. Yeah, I cannot stand people like that. Sitting, don't get me into that, please. My part is very tight already. Don't. Anyway, Sandy, you didn't get to watch part one, did you?
No, I didn't get to watch part one. I
was playback. Today has been first session of Soul Talk with Silver, and I was basically inspired to talk about this show. Talk about soul evoking topics based on the fact that I watched myself back on last week's show with Tammy, the spiritual coach. I was saying at the beginning of part one, and I watched how well together I appeared. And I considered, just before going on, I had a stomachache. I've had a stomachache throughout this whole life as well. Yeah, I had a stomachache. I had heart pain. I was in floods of tears within days. I was reflecting on the fact that my grandma had died, my auntie had died, my friend had died, and my brother died 2 weeks ago. Again, I say, although I wasn't close to my that particular brother, but it's just the reflectivity of so much going on, then my own personal journey. And then I looked at myself and I thought, wow, you are easily to be the professional and crack on.
Yeah. Yeah.
However, what am I actually experiencing on a soul level outside of the filter?
Yeah. We
And
spoke
that's what
about this the other day, didn't we? Yeah.
topic, so I can share that as an opening for other people to say, this is how I feel really.
Yeah.
It's whether you are a great poet, great engineer, great singer, great writer, great host, everyone has their isms, flaws, pain, trauma, and everyday struggles. So I'm going to, at least, once every 2 months, I'm going to have, whether it's poetry night, whether it's musicians night, whether it's soul talk night, and just have these little sessions of things that we do. Because every week I have 2 live talks, usually 2 different guests, and they pick their topics and I do a promo for them. But this is the first time I feel I've picked my topic and had a promo for myself, because it was based on me and me going through my own soul journey. And being able to come on.
I'm just going to say something. Somebody said something. Sometimes you have to just look past the conversation, see the other side of what the person is saying. Makes sense. I can understand that. Makes sense. Yeah. I'm trying to think what we said that, but it's true. Sometimes you have to look past the conversation and conversations and actually listen to what people are saying. But no,
I'll give you another one, Bruce. I saw a quote only last week, and it said, try to not focus on who's saying it, but listen to what's being said.
Yeah.
Because sometimes if you look at who's saying it, you won't pay, they're not qualified to chat to me on a level of who they are and how they behave. But sometimes the message in itself can be very resonant and make sense. If you respect the person, you tend to listen more than someone you don't respect.
No, okay, no, I think I understand. Okay, yeah. Hi, Bruce. I think I'm understanding now. Yeah, I think I'm understanding.
Now I understand what Bruce is saying, but I was giving him a rendition. Yeah. So that's it. So Sandy, do you have any last words or anything extra you'd like to add before we close the live? Or do you just want to come and share a reflection of the talk, which is really nice of you to do anyway?
No, I kind of enjoyed the talk and just wanted to share a reflection of the talk. You know what I mean? It was enjoyable. It was thought-provoking. It made me sit down and, think sometimes. And sometimes I think it provokes. Sometimes just listening to things that other people say actually stimulates your mind in that way. I like the fact of being mindful. I used to practice being mindful. And like you said it as well, it's almost like you said something earlier about somebody said that you're prepped. I think you mentioned something about along the line, or somebody said you're prepped. I
paid myself, so I'm so no, but he was right.
Yeah, but it's true, because that is the process of being mindful anyway. Because if you make yourself mindful of everything, prepping yourself mindfully of everything, it, like you said, once you do that on a regular basis, it becomes second nature.
Yes,
it becomes literally second nature. So whereas me, I'm very volatile. I could be very volatile. If I say to myself, right, no, it's not happening. No, you know me, I'm not volatile at all. I'm a lovely, gentle, calm person, you know. It's like strike one, strike two. You didn't see that one when I put out there. When you were talking about you could be savage, it's strike one, strike two. Okay, so you want me now. Strike three. Oh, so you really want me now. Okay.
That's why Claudette said Silver is a self-professed savage. Don't play with me, you know. Seriously. Claudette actually said she a savage, man.
Remember what I said to you? I said to you, when you're coming for me, I said, I'll give you many. And like you said, it can take a lot. And then I said, all right, then.
I don't like that side of me, though.
Yeah, I don't like it. But if
you know what it is,
you're going to get it. If you want it, you're going to get it.
In a way, I really don't like that side, because I feel like I give people enough chances. And if you actually allow me to exhaust myself, sometimes the best thing you can do is just walk away from somebody. But if you actually want to persist in some kind of connection,
but also, that person is not going to walk away. But there's only you. Like you said, to walk away. But if that person don't walk away, what can you do?
Well, you know what? That's why I said, I've told people before, listen, at work especially, they look at me like, I'm like, listen, I don't want to join this meeting today because I think if I stay, I'm going to get sacked. So I'm going to skip the meeting. And they look at me like, and I'm like, no, because you're repeating yourself. And I've told you what I feel. And I told you I don't want to be manipulated into this position or whatever. And I say, if I say what I want to say, it's going to be, this workplace is shut down.
Yeah.
You know, you're aware of yourself. So especially in relationships, and I don't necessarily like this side of myself, but that's everyone's got their version of self-defense or clap back. I'm not physical or anything like that. But I will sit as still as this, and I can talk in this tone. And I wouldn't, by the time I finish with you, you are in a prick, so you're going to need counseling. And no, but I've experienced literally seeing how someone can go from this to that, and I haven't moved. But someone can be all animated or even maybe physical or whatever, and I've just not even moved. But that's the power of the tongue. We've got to know how to use it.
Yeah.
For better or worse. So for me, that's my thing, Will, when I give enough and I feel like you're taking the piss now. Yeah? And when you pull the chain, this is what happens too many times. So that is why Claudette is like, she is savage, man. I love Claudette. Previous guest speaker, she says, exactly, I'm not a fan of conflict. But if you, right, you want exactly. You want smoke, yeah? I like red up. That's my girl. Claudette, you already know. Well, I'm not going to lie, Claudette. I don't like, in the moment, I'm so gassed up, okay? But you see, after, the poison stays with me when it wasn't mine in the beginning. That's why I don't like it. Because I go so deep that the Most High is like, we got to talk. No, because I've mashed up.
I'm sorry,
but I'm always like, yeah, but they did this. Like Claudette says, I said to the last person that I had this with, I carry matchsticks in a matchbox in my bag, and I use the matches sparingly, very, very, very sparingly. And that's obviously an analogy. I don't really have matchsticks. And I'm like, you don't want to strike this match. And I'm actually like this.
I know, but sometimes you know what? It's the quiet storm. You know, sometimes you could be a quiet.
Don't play with me. Please do not.
You're quiet. And then, you know, you'll be, no, I'm not going to say you're quiet. No, you're not quiet. You're going to say, okay, let me leave this. You're going to try. You say, okay. You move forward. But when something, it's like when something keeps doing this to you, keep doing this to you. How many times can you do that before you turn around? Like I said, I can take a lot. And then I turn around and I say to them, I beg you, please don't come for me, because I'm not a hurricane and I'm not a tornado. I'm a flipping tsunami, because I'm coming for you. I'm coming to destroy you. Leave me alone.
It's an interesting thing. I say this to you as we wind down this live. Again, I watch a lot of, you know, affirmations and mindful stuff in the morning before I start my day. And one thing that popped up was triggers.
Yeah.
Okay. And what they said, which is quite, you know, basic, but it was real to hear. The gentleman spoke about, it is not about you being triggered or who triggered you. It's who obtains that bomb inside of themselves. So, for example, apparently Martin Luther King was more like, you know, hit me here, I'll give you the second cheek. As we know, Malcolm X was like, really? Cha-ching, fire gun. Yeah. Two different people. So in reality,
but how can you hold the I mean, I understand that, but if you
saying, the poison would lie with me, because sometimes, even if you have justification, you ain't troubled nobody, you've warned people, you've given, and they still trying it, and then like my girl Claudette said, she would like, you want smoke? I'll light your ass up. Yeah, I love the way you dropped that bar. Yeah, but here's what it is, and that's me. That is me. That's why I love the bar so much. But what it is, even if we're triggered, the triggerer can still walk around peacefully and free. It's the one that erupted.
Well, not when I erupt on them. They're going to be walking around free.
Me, when I erupt, I lose my own empowerment. I do. I will have artificial power because now I've gassed you up with my lightning. It's artificial confidence, artificial power. But in reality, I've lost my power.
You guys, Yeah, and yeah,
That's for me. I'm not saying you should
yeah,
believe that.
yeah,
And somebody else
yeah,
said, remember a woman saying to me that her grandmother has the ability to make you feel this small without cussing one bad word.
yeah,
That's power.
yeah, yeah.
That's the point. You lose your power when you start wilding out, acting out, or even cussing, because that means you've lost your creativity now. Your psychology is not switched on.
Oh, that's true, but I don't know. Yeah,
Now.
I can understand where you're coming from. Where
And in the
people
end,
lose your
what
power.
themselves is end up being the bad guy, not the one who started it, because of how you dealt with it after.
People can think whichever way they feel, but sometimes people have to know the whole story before you can create a judgment. But sometimes
Well,
people
some
make
people been
judgment.
locked up, my darling. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Locked up officially for it, and the police don't care about who started it or you need to end it. That's what I'm trying to show you. It's about
I'm not going that deep. I'm not
you
going that
started it,
deep.
but
I'm
I'm done.
talking of
No,
self.
I'm done
I'm
it.
talking
But
of
how
self.
I done can be detrimental. Is what I'm saying to you.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm talking of self. I'm
Anyway,
not
give me
talking.
something back.
I'm not talking of others that go crazy. Let others go crazy how they need to. Sorry, some
Sandy,
people need to go
thank you for
crazy.
coming back and sharing
No
your
worries.
reflection.
All right,
Sandy,
then, girl.
thank you
Take
for coming
care.
back and
Have a
sharing
good
your
night.
reflection, what you thought of the whole life. Wait, don't say bye yet. I'm still talking to you.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were telling me to bye.
Everyone, I know Sandy, she's my mate. That's why I behave this way with her. They'll be like, what happened to that spiritual quiet girl a minute ago? And then Sandy comes up and all play it up, yeah? No, I'm just popping on and sharing your reflection of what you thought of tonight's live. Catch up on part one. Those of you that didn't see part one, you're going to want to see it. Trust me, yeah? We're sharing stories of a soul perspective today. Sandy, thank you very much for bringing light to the end of this this talk. Peace and love to you, and I'll see you hopefully on Friday.
Okay. You take care and look after yourself, girl. Take care.
Bye. Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Thank you, Bruce
Bye.
and Claudette. I appreciate you. Good
So I
night.
just exit here, yeah? All right.
Mm-hmm.